You're done here, Tasha. Pack your desk. Tasha Reed's breath caught in her throat as Ethan Stone's words sliced through the conference room. 12 pairs of eyes locked onto her, colleagues who'd just watched her present the Hartman campaign strategy she'd spent 6 weeks perfecting. Excuse me. The word came out smaller than she intended. Ethan leaned back in his leather chair at the head of the table, his expression carved from stone. You heard me. This meeting is over for you. I don't understand. Tasha's hands gripped the presentation clicker so tight her knuckles ached. I was just explaining why the influencer budget needs. You were talking back. Ethan's voice dropped to that particular tone, the one he used when he wanted everyone to know who held the power. I said the strategy was fine as is. You contradicted me. In front of the client. Tasha's pulse hammered in her ears. Mr. Hartman asked a direct question about ROI projections. I answered with data. You undermine my authority. Ethan stood, buttoning his suit jacket with theatrical precision. I've tolerated your attitude long enough. 3 years is plenty of time for you to have learned your place in this company. The words hung in the air like poison. Tasha saw Jennifer from accounting drop her gaze to the table. Drew from creative suddenly found his phone fascinating. No one would meet her eyes. My place? Tasha heard her voice rising despite every instinct screaming at her to stay calm, stay professional, stay small. I brought in the Meridian account. I saved the Westbrook campaign when. And you were compensated for your work. Ethan walked to the door, held it open. Now you can take those talents elsewhere. HR will have your final check ready by end of day. Tasha looked at the presentation screen behind her, 63 slides of research, strategy, creative concepts. Her work. Her ideas. The campaign that would have been her biggest yet. This is because I corrected you, she said quietly. In front of everyone. About the Q3 numbers last month. Something flickered in Ethan's eyes. They both knew the truth. He'd been wrong about the quarterly projections, told the entire senior team they'd hit 2.3 million when the actual figure was barely 1.8. Tasha had pulled up the real numbers on her tablet, thinking she was being helpful. The humiliation on his face that day had been brief. But she'd seen it. This is because you don't know how to be a team player, Ethan said. Marketing needs people who understand collaboration, not confrontation. Tasha gathered her laptop, her notes, her dignity. As she walked past him, he added, almost as an afterthought, and Tasha? Good luck finding another firm willing to take a chance on someone with your reputation. The door clicked shut behind her with devastating finality. Tasha made it to her desk before her hands started shaking. 3 years. 3 years of arriving first, leaving last. 3 years of pitches she'd written that Ethan presented as his own. 3 years of watching mediocre ideas from white colleagues get greenlit while her innovations got shelved for being too aggressive or not quite right for our brand. She'd told herself it was normal. That this was how you paid your dues in marketing. That if she just worked harder, proved herself more thoroughly, eventually the recognition would come. The cardboard box security gave her was smaller than she expected. Her entire professional life fit inside with room to spare. A coffee mug from her college graduation, the industry award she'd won for the Cascade campaign that still had Ethan's name listed as lead strategist, a framed photo of her grandmother. I'm sorry. Jennifer appeared beside her desk, voice barely a whisper. That was wrong. What he did was... Don't. Tasha kept packing, didn't look up. If she met Jennifer's sympathetic eyes, she might break, and she refused to give Ethan Stone the satisfaction of her tears. You've got a mortgage. 2 kids. I get it. For what it's worth, everyone knows you're the reason this department hasn't collapsed. Tasha finally looked at her. Then why is everyone still in that conference room? Jennifer had no answer for that. Hey, my friend, hope you're doing well. Drop a comment and let me know how you're feeling about this story so far and where you are watching from. Some stories are too close to my heart to share on YouTube. I send those, along with little life lessons and surprises, to my email circle. If you'd like to be part of it, you can join with the link in the description. Asterisk asterisk. The elevator ride down felt like falling. Tasha stared at her reflection in the polished steel doors, 31 years old, talented, hardworking, and now unemployed. Behind her reflection, she could see the Cole and Associates logo etched in glass. The company Ethan's father had built, that Ethan now ran with the casual cruelty of someone who'd never had to fight for anything. Her phone buzzed. A text from her younger brother. How'd the presentation go? Tasha's thumb hovered over the keyboard. How did you explain that excellence wasn't enough? That you could be the best in the room and still get erased? She typed, call you later. The lobby security guard, Rodney, who always asked about her grandmother, gave her a confused look as she walked past with her box. Heading out early, Ms. Reed? Something like that. Outside, the September afternoon pressed down with suffocating heat. Tasha stood on the sidewalk, watching people rush past with purpose and destinations. She had neither. Her phone buzzed again. This time, an email. Her heart lurched. Maybe Ethan had reconsidered. Maybe HR wanted to discuss wrongful termination, maybe. It was from her landlord. Rent increase notice. Effective next month, her studio apartment would cost an additional $300 monthly. Tasha felt laughter bubbling up in her chest, the kind that lived dangerously close to screaming. She'd been fired, publicly humiliated, and now priced out of her home, all in the span of 45 minutes. She pulled out her phone and opened her banking app. $1,700. That was everything. Her savings had evaporated over the past year, her grandmother's medical bills, her brother's tuition payment when his scholarship fell through, the new laptop she'd bought because she couldn't run design software on her old one anymore. $1,700 between her and complete financial collapse. You look like you could use this more than me. Tasha turned. A woman in a food delivery uniform held out a coffee cup. I saw what happened up there. I do deliveries to the Cole building all the time. That man's a piece of work. You saw. Tasha's humiliation found new depths. Lobby security keeps the monitor on. I saw him throw you out of that meeting. The woman pressed the coffee into Tasha's hand. My daughter's about your age. Works in tech. Says the same thing happens to her anytime she speaks up, she's aggressive. Anytime she has an opinion, she's difficult. The woman squeezed Tasha's shoulder. Don't let him make you small, baby. You're gonna land somewhere better. The kindness cracked something in Tasha's chest. She managed to thank you, but the woman was already heading back inside. Tasha stood there, holding coffee from a stranger, carrying a box of her dismantled career, and trying to figure out what came next. Her phone buzzed a third time. Another email. Subject line, Hartman account, Cole and Associates. She almost deleted it. Almost. But curiosity made her click. It was from Richard Hartman's executive assistant. The client she'd just presented to, the one she'd been fired in front of. The message was brief. Asterisk Ms. Reed, Mr. Hartman was very impressed with your presentation today. He'd like to discuss the campaign further. Would you be available for a call this week? Please use my direct line, asterisk. Tasha read it twice. Then 3 times. Ethan had fired her in front of a client who apparently wanted to work with her anyway. The client whose account was supposed to be Cole and Associates' biggest this quarter. The client Ethan desperately needed to save his declining numbers. And they wanted to talk to her. For the first time in an hour, Tasha smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who'd just realized the game wasn't over. It had just changed playing fields. She looked up at the Cole and Associates building, at the floor where Ethan was probably already taking credit for her presentation, at the glass and steel monument to his inherited privilege. Okay, she whispered to herself, to the universe, to the fire igniting in her chest. Let's see what I can build from scratch. She had $1,700, a box of personal items, and absolutely nothing left to lose. Sometimes that's exactly what you need to become dangerous. Tasha's studio apartment smelled like her grandmother's cooking, the only mercy in an otherwise merciless day. Baby girl, Sit down before you wear a hole in my floor. Lorraine Reed stood at the tiny stove, stirring a pot of gumbo that had been simmering since dawn. At 73, she moved slower than she used to, but her eyes missed nothing. You've been pacing for 20 minutes. I got fired, Graham. The words tasted like ash. Tasha sank onto the futon that served as both couch and her bed. Ethan fired me in front of everyone. Lorraine didn't turn from the stove. That the same man who takes credit for your campaigns? That's the one. Then he did you a favor. Lorraine ladled gumbo into 2 bowls, carried them to the small table by the window. Come eat. Can't think on an empty stomach. Tasha joined her, though food was the last thing she wanted. Graham, I have $1,700 to my name. Rent just went up. I don't have time for favors, I need a job. You need purpose. Lorraine tapped the table with one gnarled finger. Job is just a paycheck. Purpose is what gets you out of bed when the world tells you to stay down. Tasha picked at her gumbo. Her grandmother had been saying things like this since Tasha was 8 years old, sitting in this same apartment after her mother died. Lorraine had raised her and her brother on a retirement check and stubborn faith, teaching them that survival wasn't enough. You had to build something that mattered. I had purpose, Tasha said quietly. I was good at what I did. I made a difference for those clients. And now? Lorraine's eyes pinned her. What are you going to do with what that man took from you? Tasha's phone sat on the table between them, the email from Hartman's assistant still open. She'd read it 17 times on the bus ride home, each time convincing herself it was real, then convincing herself it didn't matter. There's a client, she admitted. He wants to talk to me about the campaign I presented. But Graham, I don't have a company. I don't have resources. I barely have rent money. You got something better. Lorraine reached across the table, cupped Tasha's face with warm hands. You got your mama's brilliance and your grandfather's backbone. You got 3 years of watching exactly how not to run a business. And you got nothing left to lose. She released Tasha's face, went back to her gumbo. Question is, you brave enough to bet on yourself? Tasha stared at her phone. At the email. At the impossible possibility it represented. I wouldn't even know where to start. Start by making the call, baby. Rest will follow. Tasha waited until her grandmother went to bed before she let herself cry. Quiet tears that soaked her pillow as she stared at the ceiling, calculating impossible math. Even if Hartman wanted to work with her, she'd need business licenses, liability insurance, contracts, a website. She'd need capital she didn't have and credentials she couldn't prove without Cole and Associates on her resume. Her phone glowed in the darkness. 11:47 p.m. Too late to call anyone. Too early to give up on sleep. She opened her contact list, scrolled to a name she hadn't called in months, Simone Chin. They'd met 4 years ago at a marketing conference, both junior associates trying to network their way into better positions. Simone had landed at a boutique firm in Portland, while Tasha had taken the job with Cole and Associates. They'd stayed in touch, sharing war stories about impossible clients and incompetent bosses. Tasha typed, "You awake?" 3 dots appeared immediately. Asterisk always. What's wrong? Asterisk. Asterisk got fired today. For talking back. Asterisk. Asterisk what? Call me right now. Asterisk. Tasha stepped onto her apartment's fire escape, the September night still humid and heavy. Simone answered on the first ring. Tell me everything. Tasha did. The presentation, Ethan's humiliation, the firing, the email from Hartman. It poured out of her in a rush, 3 years of swallowed pride and stolen credit finally finding voice. Okay, Simone said when she'd finished. First of all, Ethan Stone is a mediocre white man coasting on daddy's reputation, and karma is absolutely coming for him. Second, you need to call Hartman back. And say what? Hi, I'm unemployed and unaffiliated, but would you like to spend $250,000 on a campaign I can't actually execute? You say, I'm launching my own agency, and I'd love to discuss how we can bring your vision to life. Simone's voice carried absolute certainty. Tasha, you're the most talented strategist I know. You've been carrying Cole's entire department. Why do you think Hartman reached out to you specifically? Because he doesn't know I'm nobody. No, because he knows you're somebody. Simone paused. Look, I know you're scared. Starting from nothing is terrifying. But you've already been doing the work, you just weren't getting paid your worth. Now you can. Tasha leaned against the fire escape railing, looked out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, Ethan Stone was probably sleeping peacefully in whatever expensive neighborhood he called home. He'd fired her and forgotten her in the same breath. What if I fail? The question came out small. What if you don't? Simone countered. Listen, I have a friend, Nina Rodriguez. She's a lawyer, specializes in small business formation. I'll connect you too. She owes me a favor, might give you a discount on setting up an LLC. That's step one. Simone, I can't afford. Then you make it work. Apply for a business credit card, find a co-working space with free trials, use every free tool on the internet. Tasha, you built campaigns on shoestring budgets for clients, now you do it for yourself. Something shifted in Tasha's chest. Not hope exactly, but something close to it. Possibility. Okay, she heard herself say. Okay, I'll call Hartman tomorrow. That's my girl. And Tasha? When you become wildly successful and Ethan realizes what he lost, I want to be there to watch him suffer. Tasha laughed despite everything. Deal. After they hung up, Tasha stayed on the fire escape, drafting and redrafting an email to Richard Hartman in her head. She needed to sound confident, but not desperate. Professional, but not corporate. Herself, but better. By 2 a.m., she had it. Mr. Hartman. Thank you for reaching out. I'd be delighted to discuss the campaign strategy further. I should mention that I'm no longer with Cole and Associates. I've recently launched my own digital branding agency and would be honored to explore how we might work together. I'm available at your convenience this week. Best regards. Tasha Reed. Founder, Reed and Associates. Her finger hovered over the send button. Reed and Associates didn't exist. It was a name she'd just invented, attached to a business she hadn't formed, representing capabilities she'd have to build from absolute zero. She hit send before she could second-guess herself. Then she opened a new browser tab and typed, "How to start a marketing agency with no money." The response came at 6:47 a.m., jerking Tasha awake from restless sleep. Ms. Reed. Excellent news about your new venture. I'd like to schedule a call for Friday at 2 p.m. to discuss scope and budget. Looking forward to working with you directly. Best. Richard Hartman. Friday. That was 4 days away. 4 days to create the infrastructure of a legitimate business. 4 days to become the person she'd just claimed to be. Tasha lay in bed, her grandmother snoring softly on the couch, and felt the full weight of what she'd done. She'd lied to a potential client about having a company. If Hartman discovered the truth, that she was a just-fired employee with no business license, no portfolio of her own work, nothing but audacity and desperation, he'd walk away. Maybe even tell others in the industry. Her reputation would be destroyed before she even started. But if she could pull this off. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Hi Tasha, Simone Price passed along your info. This is Nina Rodriguez. Heard you need business formation help. I have an opening tomorrow at 4 if you're free. First consultation is on me. Then another text, this time from her brother. Cases. Just got paid for that freelance coding job. Sending you $500. Don't argue, just take it. Tasha stared at the messages. At the strangers and loved ones showing up before she'd even asked. At the universe responding to her leap with a tentative net. She got up, made coffee, and started a list. To do Meet with Nina Ree, LLC formation. Create basic website. Design logo. Draft service offerings. Build portfolio. Problem. Everything belongs to Cole. Open business bank account. Create pitch deck for Hartman. Figure out how to actually deliver on a campaign with 0 staff. The list was impossible. She had 4 days and barely any money. But she'd done impossible things before. She'd put herself through college while caring for her dying mother. She'd raised her brother when she was barely 23 years old. She'd survived 3 years working for a man who treated her like she was disposable. She could do this. Wednesday afternoon, Tasha sat across from Nina Rodriguez in a coffee shop that offered free Wi-Fi and cheap refills. Nina was 35, sharp-eyed, with an energy that suggested she didn't waste time on nonsense. Simone says you're starting a marketing agency. Nina pulled out a tablet, fingers already flying across the screen. Tell me where you're at. Tasha told her. All of it. The firing, the email from Hartman, the lie about having a company, the 4-day deadline to make it real. When she finished, Nina leaned back, studied her. You know this is crazy, right? Yes. You could get sued if you misrepresent your business capabilities. I know. And you have almost no capital. Correct. Nina smiled. Good. Women who play it safe don't change industries. She turned her tablet around. Here's what we're going to do. I'll file your LLC paperwork today. Rush processing should be done by Friday morning. Cost is usually $800, but I'll do it for $4. You can pay me the rest later. Nina, I can't. You can and you will. Because in 2 years, when you're wildly successful, you'll hire my firm for all your contracts and legal work. I'm investing in future business. Nina typed something else. You'll need an EIN for tax purposes. That's free through the IRS. I'll help you file. Business bank account you can open with a $100 deposit. Website you can build on Wix or Squarespace for about $20 a month. Tasha's hands shook as she took notes. It was actually possible. Barely, desperately possible, but real. The tricky part is your portfolio, Nina continued. You can't claim credit for cold campaigns, but you can discuss your experience in general terms. Better yet, create spec work, sample campaigns for imaginary clients that show your capabilities. In 4 days, you have something better to do? Nina's expression softened. Look, I've worked with dozens of women starting businesses from nothing. The ones who make it aren't the ones with the most money or the best connections. They're the ones who refuse to quit. Simone says that's you. Tasha felt tears threatening again. Why are you helping me? Because 5 years ago, I was you. Different industry, same story. Fired by a man who couldn't handle a woman being smarter than him. Another woman helped me, told me to pay it forward when I could. Nina slid a business card across the table. So here I am, paying it forward. Don't make me regret it. By Thursday night, Tasha had an LLC formation in process. A basic website with her logo, designed at 3 a.m. and a free trial of Canva. 3 spec campaigns in her portfolio. A pitch deck for Hartman. $847 left in her bank account. No idea how she'd actually deliver a full campaign if he said yes. She sat at her grandmother's table, reviewing her notes for tomorrow's call. Lorraine watched her from the couch, crocheting something small and blue. You ready? Her grandmother asked. No. Tasha rubbed her eyes. Gram, what if he asks questions I can't answer? What if he wants to see my office, meet my team? I don't have any of that. Then you tell him the truth. Lorraine's needles clicked steadily. New business, building as you go, but the work will be excellent. Honesty ain't a weakness, baby. Tasha's phone buzzed. An email. Her stomach dropped when she saw the sender, Ethan Stone. Tasha. I heard from a colleague that you've been in contact with Richard Hartman. I want to remind you that any work you produced while employed at Cole & Associates is proprietary company information. Attempting to solicit our clients or use our strategies will result in legal action. Additionally, I'm sure Mr. Hartman would be interested to know about your termination and the circumstances that led to it. Regards, Ethan. The coffee she'd drunk turned to acid in her stomach. Ethan was threatening her. threatening to sabotage her before she even started. What's wrong? Lorraine saw her face. Ethan. He's going to tell Hartman I was fired. He might even try to sue me. Can he do that? Tasha thought of Nina's warnings about misrepresenting capabilities, about client solicitation, about a dozen legal tripwires she might have already crossed. I don't know. Maybe. She forwarded the email to Nina with shaking hands, then sat staring at her phone. Everything she'd built this week, the LLC, the website, the impossible hope, could disappear with one phone call from Ethan to Hartman. Her phone rang. Nina. I saw the email, Nina said without preamble. He's bluffing. Hartman reached out to you, not the other way around. That's not solicitation. And you haven't used any proprietary information. He's trying to scare you. It's working. Don't let it. Men like Ethan Stone rely on women being too afraid to fight back. Call his bluff. Better yet, ignore him completely and nail your meeting with Hartman tomorrow. After Nina hung up, Tasha sat in the dark apartment, listening to her grandmother's breathing, feeling the full weight of what she was up against. Ethan had resources, reputation, lawyers. She had 4 days of frantic work and a prayer. But she also had something he didn't, nothing left to lose and everything to prove. She opened a new email to Ethan. Mr. Cole, thank you for your concern. I can assure you that all my business practices are entirely legal and ethical. Mr. Hartman contacted me independently, and any work I produce will be original. I wish you and Cole and Associates continued success. Best, Tasha Reed. Founder, Reed and Associates. She hit send, then turned off her phone before she could second-guess herself. Tomorrow, everything would change. One way or another. Friday, 1:53 p.m. Tasha sat on the fire escape with her laptop, phone, and a glass of water her hands were too unsteady to drink. 7 minutes until the call that would either launch her business or confirm she was a fraud. Her grandmother had gone to her doctor's appointment. Her brother was in class. She was alone with her racing heart and the pitch deck she'd rehearsed 47 times. At exactly 2 p.m., her phone rang. Ms. Reed, thank you for making time. Richard Hartman's voice was warm, cultured. I'll get straight to it. Your presentation on Wednesday was the first genuinely innovative strategy I've seen in months. Ethan Stone's been pitching me the same tired playbook every agency uses. You showed me something different. Tasha's grip tightened on her phone. I appreciate that, Mr. Hartman. Call me Richard. Now, I did some digging after our meeting. Cole and Associates has been underperforming for the past 18 months. Client retention is down, their campaigns are stale, and frankly, I suspect Ethan's been coasting on his father's legacy. A pause. I also heard he fired you Wednesday afternoon. Immediately after our meeting. Tasha's stomach dropped. Here it came, the questions about why she was fired, about her credibility, about whether she was worth the risk. That's correct, she said carefully. Good. I'm sorry. I'm glad you're no longer wasting your talent at a mediocre firm. Richard's tone shifted, became businesslike. Here's what I'm proposing. A 6-month contract for full brand repositioning. Digital strategy, social media overhaul, influencer partnerships, the works. Budget is $220,000, with performance bonuses if we hit engagement targets. Tasha couldn't breathe. $220,000. More than she'd made in 2 years at Cole and Associates. She started, then stopped. Be professional. Be confident. Be the person who deserves this. That aligns perfectly with what I had in mind. Excellent. I'll need you to start immediately. Campaign launch is scheduled for January 1st, which gives us about 3.5 months. Can Reed and Associates handle that timeline? This was it. The point of no return. She could tell him the truth, that Reed and Associates was 4 days old, that she had no staff, no office, barely enough money to survive the month. He'd understand, surely. He'd appreciate her honesty. And then he'd walk away and find someone established. Someone safe. Absolutely, Tasha heard herself say. We can handle it. Perfect. My legal team will send over the contract Monday morning. I'll need it signed by end of week. Richard paused. Ms. Reed, Tasha, I'm taking a chance on you because I believe in betting on talent over pedigree. Don't make me regret it. You won't. I promise you won't. After the call ended, Tasha sat frozen on the fire escape. She'd just committed to a 6-month, $220,000 contract. She had no team, no resources, and 3.5 months to deliver a campaign that would either establish her reputation or destroy it completely. She'd also just guaranteed that there was no going back. No apologizing to Ethan and begging for her job back. No playing it safe with another corporate position. She was all in. Her phone buzzed. A text from Nina. How'd it go? Tasha typed, he offered me $220K. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then, asterisk what? Call me now, asterisk. You said yes, right? Nina's voice carried equal parts excitement and terror. Please tell me you said yes. I said yes. Tasha paced her apartment. Nina, I said yes to a 6-month contract I have no idea how to fulfill. I need designers, copywriters, social media managers, a photographer, a videographer. I need an entire agency, and I have $800. Okay, let me think. Nina went quiet for a moment. Contract comes Monday, you sign by Friday. When do you get paid? He didn't say. Standard contracts usually have an initial deposit, probably 30 to 50% upfront. Let's say 40% of 220 is about $88,000. That hits your business account. You use it to hire freelancers. Tasha's head spun. I've never managed a budget that size. What if I screw it up? Then you figure it out. Listen, I know some freelancers, talented people who work remotely. I'll send you names. You interview them, hire the best, build your team. This is insane. This is business. Nina's voice softened. Tasha, scared is normal. Scared means you care enough to do it right. Now stop panicking and start planning. After they hung up, Tasha pulled out her notebook and started listing everything she needed. Graphic designer, copywriter, social media strategist, video editor, web developer. Each person she'd have to trust, manage, pay. Each person who'd be depending on her leadership. Her phone rang again. Unknown number. Is this Tasha Reed? A woman's voice, professional but uncertain. Yes, this is Amanda Voss. I work at Cole and Associates. I was in the conference room Wednesday when you were let go. Amanda spoke quickly, like she might lose courage. I shouldn't be calling, but I heard you landed the Hartman contract. Tasha's defenses rose immediately. How did you hear that? Ethan knows. Hartman's assistant called this morning to officially withdraw from discussions with Cole. Ethan is, well, he's losing it. He's called 3 emergency meetings. He's blaming everyone in the department. Amanda took a breath. Look, I know this is random, but I'm a social media strategist. I've been at Cole for 2 years, and I hate it. I've watched Ethan take credit for your work, and I'm tired of being part of that system. If you're building something new, I want in. Tasha sat down slowly. You want to leave Cole and Associates to work for a company that's less than a week old? I want to work for someone who actually earned their position. Amanda's voice steadied. I'm good at what I do. I grew the Meridian account's Instagram following by 300%. I created the TikTok strategy that went viral for Westbrook. Ethan presented both as his ideas. I remember. Tasha did remember. Amanda had approached her once in the break room, started to say something about the Westbrook campaign, then gone quiet when Jennifer walked in. Why didn't you say anything before? Same reason you stayed quiet for 3 years. Bill's fear, the promise that if we just kept our heads down, eventually we'd be rewarded. Amanda laughed bitterly. Wednesday, watching Ethan fire you for being competent, I realized that promise was a lie. So I'm saying something now. If you need a social media strategist, I'm available. Tasha thought about Nina's list of freelancers, about building a team of strangers versus working with someone who understood exactly what she was trying to escape. I can't pay you what Cole does. Not yet. I'd have to start you as a contractor, and the budget's going to be tight until we prove ourselves. I don't care about the money right now. I care about doing work that matters, with someone who values my contributions. Amanda paused. Plus, watching Ethan realize you stole his biggest client is the best revenge I could ask for. Despite everything, Tasha smiled. When can you start? I can give my notice today, be done in 2 weeks. Do it. After Amanda hung up, Tasha stared at her phone. She'd just hired her first employee. Someone who'd witnessed her humiliation and chosen to follow her anyway. Someone who was risking her stable paycheck on Tasha's week-old dream. The weight of responsibility settled over her like a blanket. It wasn't just her reputation on the line anymore. It was Amanda's livelihood. Nina's pro bono work. Simone's faith in her. Her grandmother's voice echoed in her mind. Purpose is what gets you out of bed when the world tells you to stay down. Tasha opened her laptop and created a new folder, Hartman Campaign, Reed and Associates. Then she got to work. That evening, Tasha's grandmother came home from her doctor's appointment moving slower than usual. She eased onto the couch with a wince that sent alarm through Tasha's chest. Gram? What did the doctor say? Nothing I didn't already know. Blood pressure's up. Need to reduce stress, change my diet, all the things I can't afford to do. Lorraine waved dismissively. I'm fine, baby. Tell me about your call. Tasha wanted to push, but she recognized the steel in her grandmother's expression. Instead, she told her about Hartman, about the contract, about Amanda. Lorraine listened, her weathered hands folded in her lap. When Tasha finished, her grandmother said, "You scared?" Terrified. Good. Your grandfather used to say the things worth doing are the things that scare you stupid. Lorraine reached out, took Tasha's hand. But baby, you need to know I can't help you financially. My medical bills are eating up everything. If this business doesn't work out, it will. Tasha squeezed her grandmother's hand, trying to transfer certainty she didn't quite feel. It has to. But later, lying awake at midnight, Tasha did the math. Her grandmother's prescriptions cost $400 monthly. Rent was $1,500. Food, utilities, her brother's phone bill she'd been covering, it all added up to more than she had. The Hartman contract could save everything. Or her failure could drag down everyone who depended on her. Her phone buzzed. An email from an address she didn't recognize. Subject: You made a mistake. Tasha. Asterisk: You think you've won something, but you have no idea what you've started. That Hartman contract should have been mine. I built Cole and Associates' reputation. I brought in the clients. I created the systems. I earned every success. Asterisk. Asterisk: You're a diversity hire who got lucky, and when you fail, and you will fail, everyone will see it. You'll prove exactly what I've always known. You were never good enough to make it on your own. Asterisk. Asterisk: When your little agency collapses, don't come crawling back. You burn this bridge. Asterisk. Tasha read it twice, her hands shaking. The message was from a generic email account, but she knew exactly who'd sent it. Ethan wasn't just angry about losing a client. He was threatened. Scared that her success would expose how much of his reputation had been built on her uncredited work. She thought about responding, defending herself, explaining that she'd earned everything she had. Instead, she archived the email and opened a new document. Subject: Reed and Associates, Team Meeting Agenda. Ethan wanted her to fail. The old Tasha might have let his words plant doubt, might have sabotaged herself before she even started. But the old Tasha had been fired 5 days ago. The new Tasha had a $220,000 contract and something to prove. She started typing. Monday morning, the contract arrived. Tasha sat at a coffee shop with free Wi-Fi, reading through 47 pages of legal language that might as well have been written in ancient Greek. Deliverables, milestones, performance metrics, termination clauses, each paragraph represented another way she could fail. She'd called Nina at 8 a.m., desperation overriding professional boundaries. Page 12, section 4.2, Nina said, clearly reading her own copy. See the payment schedule? Tasha found it. Her excitement curdled. 20% upfront. Not 40. Yeah, that's going to be tight. 20% of $220,000 was $44,000. Before taxes, before business expenses, before anything. Tasha had built her entire financial plan around $88,000 hitting her account. There's more, Nina continued. Section 7.1, you're required to maintain professional liability insurance. That's going to cost you about $2,000 annually. And Section 9.3 requires you to have contracts with all subcontractors before you begin work. Tasha's coffee went cold as she read. The contract was designed for an established agency, not someone operating from a fire escape. Can I negotiate? You can try. But Hartman might see it as a red flag, new business trying to change terms before you've even started. Nina paused. How much do you have in your account right now? $847. Jesus. Okay, here's what we do. Sign the contract, get that $44,000 deposited. Set aside $10,000 for taxes, use the rest to hire your team, and get started. It'll be tight, but if you're smart about it. What if I'm not smart about it? The question came out small. What if I hire the wrong people, or the campaign doesn't work, or... Tasha. Nina's voice cut through her spiral. You've spent 3 years watching Ethan Stone make terrible decisions and still keep his company afloat. You're twice as talented with 10 times the work ethic. You'll figure it out. After they hung up, Tasha signed the contract with hands that shook slightly. 47 pages committing her to deliverables she'd have to hire strangers to help execute. 47 pages that could either establish her legacy or document her failure. She scanned the signature page, sent it back to Hartman's assistant, and waited for the reply that would make it real. It came 6 minutes later. Asterisk contract received. Payment will be processed within 3 to 5 business days. Asterisk. 3 to 5 days. She had maybe a week before she'd need to start paying people, which meant she had to find those people now, convince them to work for her, and hope the money arrived before they realized she was building this plane while flying it. Her phone buzzed. Amanda. Asterisk gave my notice this morning. Ethan asked who I'm going to work for. I told him. He threw his coffee mug across the office. Asterisk. Despite everything, Tasha smiled. Then, asterisk, are you okay? Did he threaten you? Asterisk. Asterisk, he tried. I reminded him I have documentation of every campaign I worked on and every email where he took credit for my work. He backed off real quick. Asterisk. Tasha's admiration for Amanda grew. 2 weeks from today, you start your new job. Asterisk, can't wait. Also, Jennifer from accounting asked me to pass along your contact info. She didn't say why, but she looked scared. Asterisk. Jennifer. The woman who'd apologized while everyone else stayed silent. Tasha sent her number, then opened her laptop and pulled up the list Nina had sent, freelancers who might be available for contract work. Liam Wellington, graphic designer, Rome, Italy. Priya Sharma, copywriter, Austin, Texas. David Price, web developer, Vancouver, Canada. Keisha Williams, video editor, Atlanta, Georgia. Tasha started drafting emails, each one a careful balance of confidence and honesty. She needed them to believe in Reed and Associates while not outright lying about the company size. She needed them to work for rates she could afford while not insulting their expertise. Subject: Contract Opportunity, Reed and Associates. Dear Liam. Asterisk Nina Rodriguez recommended you for a graphic design project I'm staffing. I'm launching a digital branding agency and have secured a major client requiring a full brand refresh. The contract is 6 months, with potential for ongoing work. Asterisk. Asterisk, I'm looking for a designer who can work remotely, turn around concepts quickly, and collaborate with a small, dedicated team. Rate is negotiable based on experience. Asterisk. Are you interested in discussing this opportunity? Best, Tasha Reed. Founder, Reed and Associates. She sent versions to all 4 freelancers, then sat back and tried not to calculate how many ways this could go wrong. By Tuesday afternoon, she'd heard back from 3 of them. Liam was interested but wanted to know the rate up front. Priya was available and sent samples of her work that were exactly the sophisticated, sharp voice Tasha needed. David asked about the company's tech stack and team size, questions Tasha deflected by focusing on the project specifics. Keisha, the video editor, didn't respond at all. Tasha was drafting a follow-up when her phone rang. Jennifer. Tasha? I hope it's okay that I called. Amanda gave me your number. Of course. What's going on? Jennifer spoke in a rush, words tumbling over each other. I know I don't have any right to ask you for anything after I stayed quiet when you were fired. I know that. But things at Cole are falling apart, and I have 2 kids and a mortgage, and she broke off. Ethan's cutting staff. He lost the Hartman contract, and apparently 3 other clients have decided not to renew. He's blaming everyone, and I think I'm about to be let go. Tasha's first instinct was satisfaction. Ethan was reaping what he'd sowed. But then she thought about Jennifer's kids, about another woman losing her income because of one man's incompetence. What do you need, Jennifer? I know you're starting your own thing. Amanda said you might need help. I'm an accountant. I could manage your books, handle invoicing, keep track of expenses. I'd work for less than market rate, I need something stable. Tasha thought about the $44,000 that would hit her account in a few days, about the budget she'd need to track, the invoices she'd need to send, the financial infrastructure she had no idea how to build. I can't afford full-time, she said carefully. But I could bring you on as a part-time contractor. 20 hours a week to start, with the understanding that if the business grows, you'd grow with it. Yes. Jennifer's relief was palpable. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Tasha, I'm so sorry I didn't. We all do what we need to survive, Tasha interrupted. You're doing it now. That's what matters. After Jennifer hung up, Tasha updated her spreadsheet. Amanda, Jennifer, Liam, Priya, David. 5 people whose livelihoods would depend on her not screwing this up. 5 people trusting her to build something better than what they were leaving behind. No pressure. Wednesday night, Tasha's grandmother didn't come home. Tasha called her cell 4 times before her brother finally answered. I'm at General Hospital. Graham collapsed at the senior center. They think it's her heart. The world tilted. Is she? She's stable. But Tasha, they're talking about keeping her overnight, maybe longer. The bills. I'll handle it. Tasha was already grabbing her jacket, her wallet, her keys. I'm on my way. The hospital was 40 minutes by bus. Tasha spent the entire ride doing math she couldn't make work. Her grandmother's insurance covered most things, but the copays, the prescriptions, the tests, it all added up. Money she didn't have yet, for emergencies she couldn't ignore. Her brother met her in the waiting room. At 19, he looked exhausted and scared. They're running tests. Her blood pressure spiked, and she's been having chest pains she didn't tell anyone about. Of course she didn't. Tasha pulled him into a hug. She's stubborn. Like someone else I know. He managed a weak smile. How's the business thing going? Tasha thought about lying, protecting him from the pressure. But he deserved the truth. I signed a huge contract. Money should hit my account by Friday. But I've also committed to expenses I can barely afford, hired people I might not be able to pay, and promised results I'm not sure I can deliver. So basically, you're killing it. Despite everything, she laughed. Something like that. A doctor emerged from the double doors. Family for Lorraine Reed? They both stood. The doctor, a tired woman in her 50s, pulled them aside. Your grandmother had a hypertensive crisis. We've stabilized her, but she needs to stay for observation. More importantly, she needs to make significant lifestyle changes. Less stress, better diet, regular monitoring. What's the prognosis? Tasha asked. With proper management, she could live another 20 years. Without it, the doctor didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. Tasha nodded, absorbing the weight of it. Her grandmother needed less stress. Meanwhile, Tasha was building a business from nothing, managing 5 employees she couldn't quite afford, and betting everything on a campaign that might not work. Can we see her? Lorraine was awake, hooked up to monitors that beeped steadily. She looked smaller in the hospital bed, more fragile than Tasha had ever seen her. Don't you start fussing, Lorraine said immediately. I'm fine. You collapsed, Graham. I got lightheaded. It's different. But her hand, when Tasha took it, trembled slightly. How's your business? Really? You're in a hospital bed and you want to talk about work. I want to talk about my granddaughter refusing to let anyone keep her down. Lorraine's eyes were fierce despite her weakness. So tell me, how's it going? Tasha told her. The contract, the team she was building, the money that would arrive Friday. She left out the parts about crushing pressure and mounting fear. Her grandmother saw through it anyway. You're scared you can't do it. I'm terrified I'll fail and drag everyone down with me. Good. Lorraine squeezed her hand. That terror will keep you sharp. But baby, don't let it paralyze you. Your mama, God rest her, she was scared every day of her life. Scared she wasn't enough, wasn't smart enough, wasn't strong enough. That fear made her small. Lorraine's voice dropped. You got her brilliance, but you got my backbone. Use it. Tasha stayed until visiting hours ended, then took the bus home alone. Her apartment felt empty without her grandmother's presence. She made instant ramen she didn't eat and opened her laptop to distract herself from worry. 17 new emails. The first was from Hartman's assistant, * payment processed. Please confirm receipt within 48 hours of deposit, *. The second was from her bank. Your business account has received a deposit of $44,000.00. Tasha stared at the number. $44,000. More money than she'd ever seen at once. The lifeline she desperately needed. The third email made her blood run cold. It was from Liam, the graphic designer. * Tasha, I need to be upfront with you. Someone named Ethan Stone reached out to me this morning. He said Reed and Associates is a fraudulent company, that you were fired for misconduct, and that working with you would damage my reputation. I need to know the truth before I commit to this project. *. Her hands shook as she scrolled. The fourth email was from David, the web developer, with almost identical wording. Ethan was actively sabotaging her, contacting her potential team members, poisoning them against her before she even started. Tasha's phone buzzed. Amanda. * Ethan just asked me for contact info for the freelancers you're hiring. He said he wanted to offer them work on coal projects. I told him I don't have that information, but Tasha, he knows you're building a team. He's going to try to destroy this before it starts. *. Tasha sat in her empty apartment, staring at the $44,000 in her account and the sabotage attempts filling her inbox. She had money but potentially no team. She had a contract but an enemy determined to see her fail. Her phone rang. Unknown number. Ms. Reed? This is Liam. I got your email, and then I got a very interesting call from someone claiming to be your former employer. His Nigerian accent was crisp, professional. I did some research. Found articles about Cole and Associates declining client retention. Found Amanda Vasa's LinkedIn announcement that she's joining your agency. Found the business registration for Reed and Associates filed last week. Tasha braced herself for the rejection. I also found your name buried in the credits of 6 major campaigns over the past 3 years. Always listed as assistant, while Ethan Stone took lead credit. Liam paused. I've worked for men like him. They take credit, they pay late, they treat creatives like we're disposable. So here's my question. Are you building something different, or are you just another person trying to use people to get ahead? The question landed like a punch. Tasha thought about easy answers, about what he wanted to hear, about self-preservation. Instead, she told him the truth. I got fired 6 days ago for contradicting my boss in a meeting. I started this company with $800 and desperation. I have one major client, a team I'm building from scratch, and an ex-boss trying to destroy me before I even start. She took a breath. I can't promise this will be easy, or that everything will go perfectly. But I can promise that I will never take credit for your work, I will pay you on time, and I will treat you like the professional you are. That's all I've got. Silence stretched across the line. Then, when do I start? By Thursday night, Tasha had her team. Liam, Priya, David, Keisha, who'd been traveling and finally responded with an enthusiastic yes. Plus Amanda and Jennifer. 7 people. A $44,000 budget that had to cover their fees, software licenses, stock photography, hosting, and 1,000 other expenses she probably hadn't thought of yet. And 3.5 months to create a campaign that would establish her reputation or confirm Ethan's prediction that she'd fail. Tasha created a shared workspace, sent out welcome emails, scheduled their first team meeting for Monday. Then she opened a new message to Ethan Stone. Ethan. I heard you've been reaching out to my contractors. I appreciate you taking such an interest in my business. I'm sure you have plenty to focus on with Cole and Associates' recent client losses, so please don't feel obligated to continue monitoring my work. I'll be sure to send you a case study when the Hartman campaign launches. Best, Tasha. She hit send before she could second-guess the provocation. Her phone immediately rang. Simone. Please tell me you didn't just poke the bear. I might have poked the bear a little. Tasha. He's already trying to sabotage you. Why would you? Because I'm done being scared of him. Tasha surprised herself with the truth of it. He's spent 3 years making me feel small. I'm not giving him that power anymore. Simone was quiet for a moment. Okay, you're right. But Tasha? Be careful. Men like Ethan don't handle rejection well. And you didn't just reject him, you're succeeding without him. That makes you dangerous. After they hung up, Tasha stood on her fire escape, looking out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, Ethan was probably reading her email, his ego bruised, his anger building. Let him be angry. She had work to do. Her phone buzzed one final time. A text from her brother. Graham's being released tomorrow. Doctor says she needs to take it easy for a while. I'll stay with her. Relief flooded through her. Her grandmother was okay. The money had arrived. Her team was assembled. Against impossible odds, she'd made it to the starting line. Now came the hard part, actually running the race. She pulled up the Hartman campaign folder and started typing. Subject: Reed and Associates, Campaign Kickoff Meeting, Monday 9 a.m. Team. Welcome to something new. Welcome to work that matters. Welcome to proving that talent and dedication beat privilege and legacy every single time. Let's build something extraordinary. Tasha. The first month was a blur of video calls, late nights, and the intoxicating rush of building something from nothing. Tasha's team worked like a machine. Liam delivered logo concepts that made her chest ache with their perfection: clean, modern, bold. Priya's copy transformed Hartman's luxury automotive brand from stuffy to aspirational. David built a website prototype that functioned like art. Keisha turned raw footage into emotional storytelling. By mid-October, they were ahead of schedule. Tasha should have known it was too good to last. The first crack appeared on a Tuesday morning. Tasha was reviewing the social media calendar Amanda had built when her phone rang. Hartman. Richard, good morning. I was just about to send you the updated. We need to talk. His voice was different. Cold. My office. Today. 2 o'clock. The line went dead. Tasha stared at her phone, ice spreading through her veins. In 4 weeks, every interaction with Hartman had been warm, collaborative. This was something else. She called Amanda immediately. Did something happen with the campaign? Did we miss a deadline? No, everything's on track. I submitted the content calendar yesterday and his team approved it. Amanda paused. Why? What's wrong? I don't know. But he wants to meet. In person. That's good, right? FaceTime with the client. Tasha wanted to believe that. But the tone in Hartman's voice suggested otherwise. Hartman's office was downtown, all glass and steel and money. Tasha wore the one good blazer she owned and tried to project confidence she didn't feel. His assistant led her to a conference room where Richard Hartman sat with two other people, a woman in her 50s with sharp eyes and a man who looked like he'd been born in a suit. Ms. Reed, thank you for coming. Hartman didn't stand, didn't smile. This is Patricia Volkov, my CFO, and James Morrison, our legal counsel. Legal counsel. Tasha's stomach dropped. I'll get straight to it, Hartman continued. We've received some concerning information about Reed and Associates. Specifically, about the legitimacy of your business and your qualifications to execute this contract. I don't understand. But she did. She absolutely did. Patricia slid a folder across the table. We received this yesterday. An email from Ethan Stone at Cole & Associates, along with supporting documentation. Tasha opened the folder. Her hands shook as she read. Asterisk to whom it may concern asterisk. Asterisk, I feel obligated to inform you of serious concerns regarding Tasha Reed and her company, Reed & Associates. Ms. Reed was terminated from Cole & Associates on September 15 for gross misconduct, including insubordination and misappropriation of proprietary company information. Asterisk. Reed & Associates was registered on September 16, one day after her termination, and appears to have been created for the sole purpose of soliciting Cole & Associates clients using strategies and intellectual property developed during her employment with us. Asterisk, I have documentation showing that Ms. Reed's presentation to your company on September 13 contained elements from campaigns I personally developed. Additionally, Reed & Associates appears to have no physical office, no established client history, and a staff composed primarily of former Cole employees. Asterisk. Asterisk, I share this information not out of spite, but out of professional responsibility. Hartman Automotive deserves a legitimate agency partner, not a hastily assembled operation built on stolen intellectual property. Asterisk. I remain available to discuss how Cole & Associates can fulfill your branding needs with the professionalism and expertise we've built over 20 years. Regards. Asterisk Ethan Stone asterisk. Attached were documents. Screenshots of Tasha's business registration dated September 16th. A copy of her termination paperwork citing insubordination and conduct unbecoming. Side-by-side comparisons of her presentation and previous Cole campaigns, highlighting similarities Ethan had twisted to look like theft. This is all lies. Tasha heard her voice from far away. I was fired for contradicting him in a meeting. Everything in that presentation was my original work I created while employed at Cole, yes, but work that Ethan took credit for. Can you prove that? James, the lawyer, asked quietly. Could she? Tasha thought frantically. The campaigns had been created on Cole computers, using Cole resources. Her name was buried in credits, always listed as assistant or contributor. Ethan's name was on every client presentation, every contract, every award. I have emails, she started. Documentation of my contributions. From your Cole & Associates email account? Patricia raised an eyebrow. Which you no longer have access to? Tasha's mouth went dry. They had her. Ethan had built a paper trail that made her look like exactly what he'd accused her of being, a fraud who'd stolen his work to start a competing business. Ms. Reed, Hartman said, and his voice carried something that might have been regret. I want to believe you. Your work this past month has been exceptional. But these are serious allegations. If there's even a possibility that you've used stolen intellectual property, I have to protect my company. I didn't steal anything. Tasha's voice broke. Everything I've created for you is original. You can verify. We have verified, Patricia interrupted. We had our team review the work you've submitted against Cole and Associates' previous campaigns. There are similarities. Language choices, strategic frameworks, visual motifs. Enough to raise questions about originality. Of course there were similarities. Tasha had developed those frameworks, those strategies. She'd created the visual language that Ethan had then used across multiple campaigns. Her work at Cole had been the foundation, but Ethan had made sure his name was the only one anyone remembered. What are you saying? Tasha asked, though she already knew. Hartman leaned forward. I'm saying we need to pause this contract pending a full review. James will be conducting due diligence on Reed and Associates, and we'll need you to provide documentation proving ownership of all intellectual property you've used in our campaign. Pause the contract. The words tasted like ash. For how long? As long as it takes. Hartman's expression was stone. If you can prove these allegations are false, we'll resume immediately. But until then, all work stops. No new deliverables, no payments beyond what you've already received. No new payments. Tasha had budgeted everything around the next installment, due in 2 weeks. Without it, she couldn't pay her team. Couldn't cover her grandmother's medical bills. Couldn't make rent. Mr. Hartman, please. This meeting is over, Ms. Reed. He stood, buttoned his jacket. My assistant will be in touch about next steps. Tasha walked out of that building in a daze. October sunshine felt obscene against the darkness swallowing her from the inside. Ethan had won. He'd found the perfect weapon, not her competence, but the appearance of theft. He'd twisted her own excellence into evidence of fraud. She made it to a coffee shop before she started shaking. She ordered water she couldn't drink and sat in a corner booth, staring at nothing. Her phone buzzed. Amanda. How'd the meeting go? Tasha couldn't answer. Couldn't type the words that would make it real. Her phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. Asterisk, I warned you that you weren't good enough. Now everyone will see it. E asterisk. Rage and despair fought for dominance. Tasha wanted to throw her phone, wanted to scream, wanted to call Ethan and tell him exactly what she thought of his pathetic, vindictive sabotage. Instead, she opened her banking app. $22,000 remaining. She'd paid her team's first invoices, covered software licenses, paid her grandmother's hospital copays. The next payment from Hartman was supposed to replenish everything. Without it, she had maybe 6 weeks before she ran out completely. Her phone rang. Nina. I just got a very interesting call from James Morrison at Hartman Automotive, Nina said without preamble. He wanted to verify when Reed and Associates was registered and whether you'd filed any intellectual property protections. What did you tell him? The truth. That you registered the day after you were fired, and no, you haven't filed IP protections because you're a week-old company without the budget for it. Nina paused. Tasha, what the hell is going on? Tasha told her. Everything. Ethan's letter, the accusations, the contract freeze. When she finished, Nina was quiet for a long moment. Okay, this is bad. But it's not over. Do you have any documentation of your work at Cole? Emails, drafts, anything with timestamps showing you created those strategies. Some. But it's all from my Cole account, which I can't access anymore. What about personal email? Did you ever send yourself work files? Tasha thought back. She'd been careful not to take company property, paranoid about exactly this kind of accusation. I don't think so. Colleagues who can testify you created that work? Amanda and Jennifer both left Cole to work for me. Ethan will say they're biased. Nina swore softly. He set this up perfectly. Isolated you, made sure all the documentation has his name on it, waited until you were dependent on the Hartman contract to strike. She took a breath. I hate to ask this, but is there any chance, any at all, that you did use proprietary Cole methodologies in your Hartman work? The question felt like a slap. You think I stole from him? I think the line between work you created while employed and company property is legally murky. I need to know what we're defending against. Tasha closed her eyes. I used frameworks I developed, strategies I created. But yes, I refined them while working at Cole. So technically, maybe he has a legal claim to them? I don't know. I just know that everything I've done for Hartman came from my brain, my creativity, my work. That's what I thought. Nina sighed. Here's the reality. Proving you own those ideas is going to be expensive and time-consuming. You'd need to fight Cole in court, which means lawyer fees you can't afford. Even if you win eventually, Hartman won't wait. They'll find another agency. So what do I do? You have two options. 1. Walk away from the Hartman contract. Cut your losses, shut down Reed and Associates before you go into debt. Tasha's chest constricted. And option 2? Fight. Provide James Morrison with everything you have. Testimonials from your team, documentation of your creative process, proof that your Hartman work is original. It's a long shot, but if you can create enough reasonable doubt about Ethan's claims, Hartman might resume the contract. How long will that take? Weeks. Maybe months. And there's no guarantee it works. Tasha sat in the coffee shop, surrounded by people living normal lives with normal problems, and felt the weight of her impossible choice. Walk away and prove Ethan right. Or fight and potentially drag her team down with her when she lost. I need to think, she managed. Think fast. Morrison wants a response by Friday. 3 days. Tasha had 3 days to decide whether to surrender or double down on a bet she was increasingly certain she'd lose. She didn't go home. Couldn't face her grandmother's worried questions or her empty apartment silence. Instead, she walked. Block after block, watching the city transition from business district to residential neighborhoods, her mind churning. Her phone buzzed incessantly. Amanda asking about the meeting. Liam asking about the next milestone deadline. Jennifer sending the updated budget spreadsheet. Each notification a reminder of the people depending on her. Finally, she ended up at the hospital where her grandmother had been treated. She sat in the waiting room, watching families navigate their own crises, and tried to find clarity. A woman about her age sat down nearby, infant carrier at her feet. The baby fussed, and the woman looked exhausted in a way Tasha recognized, the exhaustion of carrying too much alone. How old? Tasha asked, just to say something. 6 weeks. The woman smiled tiredly. Colicky. We've been here 3 hours for what turned out to be gas. I'm sorry. It's okay. First baby, everything's terrifying. The woman looked at Tasha. You look like you're carrying something heavy too. Tasha laughed bitterly. Is it that obvious? Takes one to know one. The woman adjusted the carrier as the baby settled. Whatever it is, I hope it works out. After the woman left, Tasha sat alone with her thoughts and her phone and the decision that would define everything. She could walk away. Tell her team the contract fell through, pay them what she owed, shut down Reed and Associates. Return to job searching, apartment hunting, the safe path of working for someone else. Or she could fight. Use her remaining money to hire a lawyer, gather evidence, defend herself against Ethan's accusations. Risk everything on the chance that truth would matter more than his carefully constructed lies. Her grandmother's voice echoed in her mind. Asterisk, you got your mama's brilliance, but you got my backbone. Use it, asterisk. Tasha pulled out her phone and called Nina. I'm fighting, she said when Nina answered. Tell me what I need to do. Nina was quiet for a moment. Then, okay. First thing tomorrow, we start building your case. Fair warning, this is going to get worse before it gets better. I know. And Tasha? There's something else you should know. I did some digging into Ethan Stone. His company's in worse shape than anyone realizes. He's lost 6 major clients this quarter, his revenue is down 40%, and there are rumors he's courting investors to stay afloat. What does that mean? It means he's desperate. And desperate people do dangerous things. Nina paused. He's not just trying to take back the Hartman contract. He's trying to destroy you as a warning to any other employees who might think about leaving. You're not just fighting for this one contract, You're fighting for your entire future in this industry." After they hung up, Tasha sat in the hospital waiting room and let herself feel the full weight of it. Ethan wasn't content to fire her. He wanted to erase her, to make sure she never threatened him again. She thought about the past month, the joy of building something with her team, the pride of seeing her vision come to life, the possibility of proving that talent mattered more than privilege. Then she thought about losing it all. About Ethan's satisfied smirk when she failed. About every other talented woman who'd been pushed down and stayed there because fighting back was too expensive, too exhausting, too dangerous. Tasha stood, straightened her shoulders, and walked out of the hospital. If Ethan wanted a war, she'd give him one. But first, she had to tell her team that everything they'd built together was hanging by a thread. The team meeting Wednesday morning was the hardest thing Tasha had ever done. 7 faces on her screen: Amanda, Jennifer, Liam, Priya, David, Keisha, and Nina joining for moral support. All of them waiting for her to speak. All of them trusting her. "There's been a complication with the Hartman contract," Tasha began. Her voice sounded steadier than she felt. "Ethan Stone sent documentation to Hartman's legal team claiming I stole proprietary information from Cole and Associates. The contract is frozen pending investigation." Silence. Then Liam, "What does frozen mean for us?" "It means no new payments until this is resolved. I have enough to cover this week's invoices, but after that." She couldn't finish. "How long will the investigation take?" Priya asked quietly. "Weeks. Maybe longer." More silence. Tasha watched their faces, saw the calculations happening. Bills to pay. Families to feed. Other opportunities they'd turned down to work with her. Amanda spoke first. "What do you need from us?" "Honestly, I need you to consider other options. I can't ask you to wait around while I fight this. You all have careers, responsibilities." "That's not what I asked." Amanda's voice was steel. "I asked what you need from us to fight this." Tasha's throat tightened. "I need documentation. Any emails, texts, Slack messages from our time at Cole that show I created those strategies. I need testimonials about my work. I need proof that what I built for Hartman is original." She paused. "But I understand if you can't risk." "I'm in," Amanda said immediately. "I have 2 years of emails showing your work. I'll compile everything." "I've got meeting notes," Jennifer added. "Every campaign review where Ethan presented your ideas as his. I can provide expert testimony about the originality of the work," Liam offered. "I've seen both Cole's previous campaigns and what you created for Hartman. They're different enough that plagiarism claims won't hold up." One by one, they committed. Not because they had to. Because they chose to. Tasha had to mute herself for a moment, overwhelmed. When she unmuted, Nina was talking. "I'll represent you in this fight, Tasha. Pro bono until we win. We'll bury Ethan in evidence that you're the talent behind those campaigns." "Nina, you can't work for free. Watch me." Nina's smile was sharp. "I've been wanting to take down a mediocre man coasting on privilege for years. This is my chance." After the meeting, Tasha sat alone with the weight of their loyalty. They were betting on her, risking their own stability because they believed in what she was building. She couldn't let them down. Thursday afternoon, everything got worse. Tasha was compiling evidence when her phone rang. Her landlord. "Ms. Reed, I'm calling about your lease renewal. You're month to month now, and I've had an offer from a tenant willing to pay significantly more. I need to know by tomorrow if you're renewing at the new rate." "How much more?" $2,200 a month. $700 more than she was currently paying. Money she absolutely didn't have. "I need time to think about it. You have until 5 p.m. tomorrow. After that, I'm going with the other tenant." Tasha hung up and did the math. She had $18,000 left. Rent, her grandmother's medications, her brother's expenses, paying her team what she owed them. It didn't work. No matter how she calculated, she came up short. Her phone buzzed. A text from her brother. *Graham's home, but she's not doing well. Can you come by? *. Tasha found her grandmother in bed, looking smaller and more fragile than ever. "Don't fuss," Lorraine said when Tasha checked her forehead for fever. "I'm just tired. The doctor said you needed to rest. You're supposed to be taking it easy." "Can't rest when my grandbaby's fighting the fight of her life." Lorraine gripped Tasha's hand. "How bad is it?" Tasha wanted to lie, but her grandmother would see through it. "Pretty bad. The contract's frozen. I might lose my apartment. And I'm running out of money to pay the people who believed in me." "You thinking about quitting?" "I'm thinking I might not have a choice." Lorraine struggled to sit up. Tasha helped her, arranging pillows behind her back. When she was settled, her grandmother fixed her with that look, the one that had gotten Tasha through her mother's death, through college, through every impossible moment. "Your grandfather and I started with nothing. Less than nothing. We had debt and a dream. We failed more times than I can count. But we never quit, baby. Not once." Lorraine's voice grew stronger. "You know why? Because quitting is easy. Quitting is what people expect from folks like us. Success, real, earned success, that's the revolution. Graham, I can't pay rent. I can't pay my team." "What kind of success is that?" "The kind that hasn't happened yet." Lorraine squeezed her hand. "You're in the valley, baby girl. It's dark down here, I know. But valleys don't last forever. You keep walking, eventually you climb out." Tasha wanted to believe her. But belief required hope, and hope felt like a luxury she couldn't afford. Friday morning brought the deadline from her landlord and an email from James Morrison. "Ms. Reed, we've completed our preliminary review. While we found no definitive evidence of intellectual property theft, the similarities between your work and Cole and Associates' previous campaigns raise ongoing concerns. Mr. Hartman is willing to resume the contract under modified terms. 1. All work must be reviewed and approved by an independent third party to ensure originality. 2. Payment schedule will be adjusted to milestone-based rather than time-based. 3. Cole and Associates will be brought on as a consulting partner to verify no proprietary methods are being used. If you agree to these terms, we can proceed. Otherwise, we'll terminate the contract and seek alternative agency partners. Please respond by end of business today. Regards, James Morrison." Tasha read it 3 times, each time feeling more nauseous. They wanted to bring Ethan on as a consultant to her campaign, using her contract, paying him to approve work he'd stolen credit for in the first place. It was the ultimate humiliation. Work under Ethan's supervision or lose everything. She called Nina immediately. "This is insane," Nina said after reading the email. "They're essentially asking you to work for the man who sabotaged you. Can they do this legally?" "Technically, yes. The contract has provisions for modifications if there are concerns about deliverables. It's unusual, but not illegal." Nina paused. "Tasha, you don't have to accept this. We can walk away, find other clients." "With what reputation?" "If I walk away from Hartman, the story becomes new agency couldn't deliver, contract terminated amid plagiarism concerns. I'll never work in this industry again. If you accept, you're working under Ethan's thumb. He'll reject your best work, claim credit for anything good, and set you up to fail." Tasha closed her eyes. "So I'm trapped. Accept and be humiliated, or refuse and be destroyed." Neither of them had an answer for that. At 3 p.m., Tasha stood in her apartment, the apartment she'd lose in 2 days unless she paid rent she didn't have and made the call she'd been dreading. "Amanda, I need you to be honest with me. If I accept Hartman's new terms and work with Ethan as a consultant, will you still work with me?" Silence stretched across the line. "You're actually considering it?" Amanda's voice was small. "I don't see another option. The other option is walking away with your dignity intact. Dignity doesn't pay your salary, doesn't cover my grandmother's medical bills, doesn't keep my team employed." Tasha's voice broke. "I'm trying to save what we built. What we built was a place where our work mattered, where we didn't have to bow to men who treated us like we were disposable. Amanda took a shaky breath. If you bring Ethan back in, even as a consultant, you're saying he was right. That we need him. That we're not good enough on our own. That's not what I'm saying. That's what it looks like. Amanda's disappointment was worse than anger. I left Cole because I believed in you. I believed you were building something better. But if you're just going to recreate the same toxic system with different letterhead, I can't be part of it. Amanda, I need to think. I'll call you tomorrow. The line went dead. Tasha stood alone, phone in hand, watching everything crumble. If Amanda left, others would follow. If she rejected Hartman's terms, she'd lose the contract. If she accepted, she'd lose herself. There was no winning. Only different flavors of losing. Her phone buzzed. A text from Ethan. Heard Hartman offered you modified terms. Smart move on their part. Looking forward to working together again. Rage flooded through her. He was gloating. Enjoying her humiliation. Savoring the moment she'd have to come crawling back. Tasha looked around her apartment, the space she'd barely made home, the life she'd barely started building. She thought about her team, about her grandmother, about every woman who'd been forced to choose between dignity and survival. Then she opened her laptop and started typing. Mr. Morrison. Thank you for Hartman Automotive's offer. After careful consideration, I must respectfully decline. Reed and Associates was founded on the principle that talent and integrity matter more than expedience. Accepting terms that require oversight from the individual who sabotaged our work would compromise that principle. I understand this means terminating our contract. I'm prepared to return the initial payment, minus documented expenses already incurred. I wish Hartman Automotive success in finding an agency partner aligned with your values. Respectfully, Tasha Reed. Founder, Reed and Associates. Her finger hovered over send. This was it. The moment she chose pride over pragmatism. The moment she bet everything on the belief that some things mattered more than survival. She thought about her mother, who died playing it safe. Her grandmother, who'd built a life on refusing to bow. Every woman who'd ever had to choose between being small and being broke. Tasha hit send. Then she opened a new message to her team. Emergency meeting. Tonight. 8 p.m. I have something to tell you all. She had $7,000 left, no contract and no plan. But she had her dignity. Sometimes that had to be enough. 8 p.m. 7 faces on Tasha's screen. 7 people whose livelihoods she was about to upend. I turned down Hartman's offer, she said without preamble. I'm terminating the contract. The silence was deafening. Liam spoke first. You walked away from $220,000? I walked away from working under Ethan Stone's supervision. Tasha's voice steadied. They wanted him as a consultant to approve our work, verify our methods. I couldn't do it. I won't build a company where we have to bow to the same people who tried to break us. So what now? Jennifer's voice was small. Do we all just go home? Tasha looked at her team, the people who'd believed in her when she had nothing. I don't know. I have enough money to pay what I owe you, but not enough to keep going. I failed you. I'm sorry. Stop. Amanda's voice cut through. Stop apologizing for having a backbone. Tasha looked at her surprised. I was angry earlier, Amanda continued. Angry that you were even considering Ethan's terms. But you didn't take them. You chose us, chose what we're building over the easy money. She leaned toward her camera. That's the leader I signed up to follow. Amanda, I can't pay you. I can't pay anyone. What kind of leader? The kind who doesn't sell out. Liam jumped in. Look, I've worked for agencies that made millions while treating creatives like garbage. I'd rather build something real with $7,000 than compromise everything for a big contract. But you all have bills, Tasha protested. Families, responsibilities. And we chose to be here anyway. Priya's calm voice anchored the chaos. Tasha, what if we restructure? What if instead of being contractors, we become partners? Equal stake in whatever we build. The suggestion hung in the air. Partners? Tasha repeated. We all work for equity instead of cash right now, Priya explained. When Reed and Associates lands new clients, we all benefit. It's risky, but we're already taking risks by being here. I can keep my part-time job at the bookstore, Keisha offered. Use that for bills, contribute to Reed and Associates when I can. But I'm not walking away. Same, David said. I've got freelance work that covers rent. I'll do Reed projects nights and weekends until we're stable. One by one, they committed. Not because she'd convinced them. Because they'd convinced themselves that what they were building mattered more than safety. I don't deserve you, Tasha whispered. You're right, Nina said, speaking for the first time. You deserve better than constantly doubting yourself. So here's what happens next. You take that $7,000 and you get aggressive. No more playing defense against Ethan. You go on offense. How? You tell your story. Nina leaned forward. Ethan's been controlling the narrative, making you look like the thief, the fraud. You flip it. You show the industry exactly who he is and what he did. That sounds like career suicide. Or career resurrection. Nina's eyes gleamed. I did some more digging. Ethan's not just losing clients, he's being investigated by 3 former employees for wage theft and hostile work environment. If you go public with your story, you won't be a lone voice. You'll be the catalyst. Tasha's heart raced. Go public how? Industry publication. Conference speech. LinkedIn post that goes viral. You document everything, the campaigns you created, the credit he stole, the sabotage, the threats. You make it impossible for people to look away. That'll make me unhireable, Tasha said quietly. It'll make you unforgettable, Amanda corrected. People will remember you as the woman who refused to stay silent. That's a reputation worth having. Tasha looked at her team, her partners now, all of them willing to bet on the long shot. All of them believing she could pull this off. Okay, she heard herself say. Let's burn it all down. Saturday morning, Tasha woke up to an unexpected email. Subject, Meridian Account Inquiry. Ms. Reed. My name is Vanessa Liu, CMO of Meridian Tech. You may remember working on our account during your time at Cole & Associates. That campaign increased our user acquisition by 340% and remains the most successful marketing initiative we've ever run. I recently heard you've started your own agency. I also heard from a former Cole employee that you were the actual strategist behind our campaign, though Mr. Cole took credit. If true, I'd like to discuss moving our account to Reed & Associates. Our current contract with Cole ends in 30 days. Please call me at your earliest convenience. Best. Vanessa Liu. Tasha read it 3 times, heart pounding. Meridian Tech. One of Cole & Associates' biggest clients, billing at least $150,000 annually. She called Vanessa immediately. Ms. Reed, thank you for calling. Vanessa's voice was crisp, professional. I'll be direct, I'm furious. I've been paying Cole premium rates believing Ethan was the talent behind our success. Learning he stole credit from you changes everything. How did you find out? Jennifer Martinez. She reached out yesterday, said she's working with you now. Sent me documentation showing your work on our campaigns. Vanessa paused. I don't tolerate liars, Ms. Reed. And I reward talent. So here's my offer, Meridian moves to Reed & Associates. Same scope as our Cole contract, but we'll pay 20% more because you actually do the work. Tasha couldn't breathe. Vanessa, I need to be transparent with you. Reed & Associates is new. Very new. I have a small team, limited resources. You have the same brain that tripled my user acquisition. That's all I care about. Vanessa's tone softened slightly. Look, I know what it's like to build something from nothing as a woman in tech. Someone took a chance on me once. I'm paying it forward. Are you interested or not? Yes. Absolutely yes. Excellent. I'll have my legal team send over a contract Monday. And Ms. Reed? There are 4 other Meridian portfolio companies that need marketing help. Deliver for us, and I'll make sure they know who to call. After the call, Tasha sat stunned. One conversation had changed everything. From financial collapse to a 6-figure contract in 10 minutes. Her phone rang again. Unknown number. Tasha Reed? This is Steve Cole from Adweek. The voice was young, eager. I'm a reporter covering the marketing industry, and I've been hearing some very interesting rumors about Ethan Stone and workplace misconduct. Would you be willing to speak on the record? This was it. The moment Nina had described. The chance to tell her story, to expose what Ethan had done. It was also the point of no return. Once she spoke to press, there'd be no reconciliation, no quiet settlement. She'd be declaring war publicly. Can I ask how you heard about this? Tasha said carefully. Multiple sources. Jennifer Martinez, Amanda Voss, 3 former Cole employees who filed complaints with the State Labor Board. They all tell the same story, Ethan taking credit, hostile environment, retaliation against anyone who speaks up. Liam paused. Your name keeps coming up as the most recent and egregious example. The talented black woman fired for contradicting him, then sabotaged when you tried to start your own firm. Tasha thought about her grandmother's words. Success, real, earned success. That's the revolution. I'll talk, she said. But I want to tell the whole story. Not just what Ethan did to me, but what he's done to the entire culture of that company. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Can you meet tomorrow? After they hung up, Tasha called an emergency partner meeting. I have good news and complicated news, she told her team. Good news. Meridian Tech wants to move their account to us. Contract starts in 30 days, about $180,000 annually. Cheers erupted across the video call. Complicated news. Adweek wants to interview me about Ethan. If I do this, it goes public. All of it. There's no going back. The celebration quieted. What do you want to do? Amanda asked. Tasha thought about every woman she'd watched stay silent to keep their jobs. Every talented person passed over because they didn't look like the people in charge. Every time she'd made herself smaller to make mediocre men comfortable. I want to tell the truth, she said. Even if it costs me everything I've rebuilt. It won't cost you everything, Liam said firmly. It'll cost you the people who were never going to support you anyway. The people who matter will show up. Then we're agreed? Tasha looked at each face on her screen. We go public? One by one, they nodded. Let's do it, Amanda said. Let's show the industry exactly what happened. Tasha scheduled the interview for Sunday afternoon. 24 hours to prepare. 24 hours before she became either a cautionary tale or a catalyst for change. She pulled up a blank document and started writing everything down. Every campaign Ethan had stolen. Every colleague he'd silenced. Every threat he'd made. The truth unvarnished and complete. Her phone buzzed. Her grandmother. Asterisk baby girl, your brother told me what you're doing. I'm proud of you. Not for the contract, though that's wonderful. Proud because you're finally fighting like you've got nothing to lose. Asterisk. Asterisk, you're going to change things. I feel it. Asterisk. Asterisk, love you. Now get some sleep. Asterisk. Tasha smiled through unexpected tears. Her grandmother was right. She'd spent 3 years trying to prove she belonged in rooms that were never designed for her. Now she was going to build her own rooms. With better foundations and doors that actually opened. Sunday at 2 p.m., Steve Cole arrived at the coffee shop with a recorder and questions. Tasha told him everything. The article dropped Tuesday morning. The Hidden Architects, How One Marketing Firm Built Success on Stolen Credit by Steve Cole. Tasha's phone started buzzing at 6:47 a.m. and didn't stop. Messages, calls, emails, a flood of response before she'd even read the published piece. She opened it with shaking hands. Liam had written everything. The campaigns she'd created that bore Ethan's name. The firing for talking back. The sabotage of her Hartman contract. But he'd gone further, interviewing 6 other former coal employees who told similar stories. Women and people of color systematically silenced, while their work elevated Ethan's reputation. The article included documents, email chains, campaign timelines with Tasha's name buried in footnotes while Ethan took bows, screenshots of his threatening messages. It was devastating. It was thorough. It was undeniable. By noon, the article had 15,000 shares. By 3 p.m., Adweek's editor posted a follow-up. This story has generated more engagement than anything we've published this year. The conversation about credit, labor, and workplace equity in creative industries is long overdue. Tasha watched it unfold from her apartment, barely breathing. Her phone showed 300 unread messages. Her email inbox had exploded. LinkedIn notifications crashed the app. Then Nina called. Turn on Channel 7. Now, Tasha found a live stream. A local news segment, marketing industry rocked by allegations of systemic credit theft. They were interviewing Amanda on camera. I watched Tasha Reed create campaigns that won awards Ethan Stone accepted. She wasn't just an assistant, she was the creative engine. And when she dared to speak up, he destroyed her career. Or tried to. The anchor turned to the camera. We reached out to Cole and Associates for comment. Ethan Stone declined to appear, but sent this statement: "These allegations are false and defamatory." Ms. Reed was terminated for legitimate performance concerns. Any suggestion otherwise is an attempt to damage my company's reputation. The anchor's skepticism was palpable. However, court documents show 3 former employees have filed formal complaints with the State Labor Board, all alleging similar patterns of stolen credit and retaliation. Tasha's phone rang. Simone, are you watching this? You're trending on LinkedIn. The hashtag is #credit where credit's due. Tasha, you just changed the entire industry conversation. I'm terrified, Tasha admitted. What if this backfires? What if? It's not going to backfire. Check your email. Actually, check your LinkedIn messages first. Tasha opened LinkedIn. 273 messages. She started scrolling. Asterisk, thank you for speaking up. This happened to me at my agency. Asterisk. Asterisk, I'm a creative director now because someone finally gave me credit for my work. Your story matters. Asterisk. Asterisk, I've been too scared to leave my toxic firm. You just gave me courage. Asterisk. Message after message from people, mostly women, mostly people of color, sharing their own stories of stolen credit and workplace retaliation. Then she saw a message from Richard Hartman. Ms. Reed. Asterisk, I owe you an apology. I read the Adweek article and reviewed the documentation. It's clear I was manipulated by Cole's allegations. The work you produced for us was exceptional because it was genuinely yours. Asterisk. Asterisk, if you're willing, I'd like to restart our contract under the original terms. No consultants. No oversight. Just you and your team doing what you do best. Asterisk. I should have trusted my instincts about your talent instead of being swayed by accusations designed to protect a threatened ego. Please call me Richard Hartman. Tasha read it twice. Hartman wanted to restart. Original terms. $220,000. Her phone buzzed again. Vanessa Liu. Asterisk saw the article. Even more convinced I made the right choice. Also, connecting you with 3 other companies who need agencies with actual integrity. Stand by. Asterisk. Before Tasha could process another email. This one from Patricia Volkov, Hartman's CFO, who'd grilled her about plagiarism. Ms. Reed. Asterisk, I want to personally apologize for my role in what happened. I did due diligence on the wrong person. Ethan Stone manipulated us with carefully constructed lies. Asterisk. Asterisk, I've spent my career trying to support women in business. I failed you when it mattered. I'm sorry. Asterisk. Asterisk, I'd like to make amends. I'm connected with several companies seeking marketing partners. May I recommend Reed and Associates? Asterisk. Respectfully. Patricia Volkov. Tasha sat in her apartment, watching her phone explode with opportunities, apologies, support. The risk she'd taken, the truth she'd told despite the cost, was creating ripples she'd never imagined. Then Amanda sent a text, "Check Cole and Associates website." Tasha pulled it up. A banner across the top, "Cole and Associates is temporarily suspending new client acquisition while we review internal processes." "They're imploding," Nina said when Tasha called her. "I just heard from a contact at the labor board. They're opening a formal investigation based on the complaints. And get this, Ethan's father is flying in from his retirement in Arizona. Apparently he's furious about what his son did to the company reputation." What happens now? Now? You choose how big you want to grow. Because Tasha, you just became the most sought-after voice in marketing ethics. The offers are going to pour in. They did. By end of week, Reed and Associates had Hartman contract reinstated, $220,000. Meridian Tech and 3 portfolio companies, $340,000 combined. 5 new clients referred by Patricia Volkov, $180,000 total. Speaking invitations from 3 industry conferences. Interview requests from Forbes, Fast Company, and NPR. Tasha sat with her team, her partners, on Friday night via video call, spreadsheets open, calculating what this meant. "We're looking at $740,000 in contracts," Jennifer said, voice awed. "In 1 week. We'll need to hire more people," Amanda added. "We can't execute this with just us." "Good problem to have." Liam grinned. "Tasha, you just built what you set out to build. A real agency. With real power." Tasha let it sink in. 6 weeks ago, she'd been fired with $1,700 to her name. Now she was running a $750,000 agency built on nothing but talent and truth. "We need an office," she said suddenly. "A real space. Somewhere people can come together, create together. Somewhere with a door you can close on mediocre men," Priya suggested with a smile. They spent 2 hours planning. Hiring strategy. Office space. Equipment. The infrastructure of something real and lasting. After everyone logged off, Tasha sat alone with a glass of wine she'd actually earned and pulled up Ethan's LinkedIn. His profile picture was gone. His title changed from CEO to simply principal. The Cole and Associates page had comments disabled. She should have felt satisfaction. Victory. But mostly she felt tired. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. "Tasha? It's Ethan." She froze. "How did you get this number?" "Jennifer." Before she left. His voice sounded hollow. Defeated. "I need to talk to you. In person. Please." "You've got to be kidding." "I know I don't deserve anything from you. I know what I did was." He trailed off. "Just give me 10 minutes. That's all I'm asking." Every instinct screamed to hang up. To let him drown in the consequences he'd earned. But curiosity won. "Tomorrow. Public place. You get 5 minutes." Saturday afternoon, Ethan Stone walked into the same coffee shop where Tasha had signed her first contracts. He looked diminished somehow, expensive suit still perfect, but the arrogance gone. He sat across from her without asking permission. "Thank you for meeting me." Tasha said nothing. Let him fill the silence. "My father is taking over Cole and Associates," Ethan said finally. "He's forcing me out. Says I've destroyed 20 years of reputation building in 6 months. He laughed bitterly. "He's right. I've lost 12 clients. Half my staff quit. The ones who stayed are being interviewed by lawyers." "Why are you telling me this?" Ethan met her eyes. For the first time since she'd known him, he looked genuinely vulnerable. "Because you won. You took everything I tried to destroy you with and turned it into something I can't compete with. And I need to understand how. You want the secret to my success?" Tasha leaned forward. "I actually did the work. I valued the people around me. I told the truth. None of which you ever bothered with." "I know." His voice cracked. "I know I took credit for your campaigns. I know I stole from talented people because I was terrified everyone would realize I wasn't as good as my father. That I didn't deserve what I inherited. He stared at his hands. I became what I was afraid of being called, a fraud. Tasha had imagined this moment. Ethan broken, begging, facing consequences. She'd imagined feeling triumphant. Instead, she just felt sad. Sad for the talent he'd wasted, the people he'd hurt, the man he could have been if he'd chosen differently. Why are you really here, Ethan? He pulled out his phone, showed her a LinkedIn message. From a tech startup looking for marketing help. They want to interview me. But my reputation is destroyed. My network won't return calls. My father won't speak to me. He set down the phone. I need a reference. Someone credible who'll vouch that I'm not completely worthless. The audacity stole Tasha's breath. You want me to give you a reference? I know it's insane. I know I don't deserve. You're right. You don't. Tasha stood to leave. Wait. Ethan's voice stopped her. What if I worked for you? She turned slowly. What? Reed and Associates. You're growing. You'll need experienced people. I know the industry. I have connections, had connections. I could. He struggled with the words. I could work under your leadership. Learn from you. Maybe become someone who actually earns their position instead of inheriting it. Tasha stared at him. Ethan Stone, the man who'd fired her, sabotaged her, tried to destroy her, asking for a job. The irony was so perfect it almost hurt. You're serious. I have nothing else. No job. No reputation. My father's threatening to cut me off completely. Ethan's voice dropped. You asked me once what kind of leader I wanted to be. I gave you some bullshit answer about results and efficiency. The truth? I don't know. I never learned. But you built something real. Something people believe in. Maybe working for you, I'd finally figure it out. Tasha thought about her grandmother's words, show the kind of grace he never gave you. She thought about the opportunity to do exactly what Ethan had done to her, use his desperation, his talent, his connections while keeping him small and powerless. She thought about what kind of leader she wanted to be. No, she said finally. Ethan's face fell. But, Tasha continued, I know someone who might help you. Nina Rodriguez. She's a lawyer who specializes in helping people rebuild after professional disasters. She's expensive, but she's good. Tell her I sent you. Why would you help me? After everything. Tasha picked up her bag. Because someone helped me when I had nothing. And because I'm building a company based on something better than revenge. She headed for the door, then paused. Ethan? The difference between us isn't talent. It's character. You can't hire that. You have to become it. She walked out, leaving him sitting alone with his choices. 3 months later. Tasha stood in the empty office space on the 8th floor of a building in the Arts District, watching morning light stream through windows that overlooked the city. Not floor-to-ceiling glass in some sterile high-rise. These were the original 1920s windows of a renovated warehouse, character etched into every frame. What do you think? The property manager waited by the door. Tasha walked the space. Exposed brick walls. High ceilings with original beams. Enough room for 12 desks, a conference area, a break room. Space to grow. She thought about the fire escape where she'd taken the call that changed everything. The coffee shops with free Wi-Fi where she'd built her first contracts. The apartment she'd almost lost. I'll take it, she said. The Reed and Associates team moved in on a Saturday in early December. All 7 partners showed up with boxes, furniture bought secondhand, and an energy that felt like possibility made physical. Leah hung his design prints on the brick wall. Priya claimed the corner desk with the best light. David set up a server station that would make their IT infrastructure actually professional. Keisha assembled a video editing suite in what used to be a storage closet. Amanda and Jennifer worked together arranging the conference room, the space where they'd pitch clients, where they'd make decisions as equals. We need something on this wall, Jennifer said, gesturing to the blank brick behind the conference table. I have an idea. Tasha pulled out a frame she'd been carrying carefully. Inside was the Adweek article, professionally printed. Not as a trophy, as a reminder. "The Hidden Architects," Amanda read aloud. Perfect. They hung it together. Tasha's phone buzzed. Her grandmother. Asterisk, "Baby girl, I'm outside. Buzz me up, asterisk." Tasha rushed to the door. Lorraine Reed emerged from the elevator, moving slowly but steadily, her brother supporting her arm. 3 months of proper medication, reduced stress, and regular doctor visits had brought color back to her face. "Graham, you didn't have to come. You should be resting." "Hush. I'm not missing this." Lorraine looked around the office, eyes bright. "This is what revolution looks like. Not loud, not flashy. Just people building something better than what came before." She pulled Tasha into a hug that smelled like home. "Your grandfather would be so proud," Lorraine whispered. "I'm so proud." Tasha's brother appeared with champagne and paper cups. "Figured we needed to christen the place properly." They gathered in the unfinished office, 7 partners, Lorraine, Tasha's brother, and Nina, who'd shown up with a gift basket and a card that read, "To many billable hours in your future." Tasha poured champagne into paper cups, her hands steadier than they'd been in months. "I had a whole speech prepared," she started. "But looking at all of you, I realize I only need to say 2 things. First, thank you. You believed in me when I had nothing but desperation and a dream. You risked your livelihoods on a company that existed only on paper. You became my partners when the smart move was walking away." She had to pause, emotion tightening her throat. "Second, this is just the beginning. Reed and Associates isn't just about successful campaigns or happy clients. It's about proving that talent matters more than privilege. That integrity beats manipulation. That the people who've been hidden, silenced, and pushed to the margins can build something that changes the entire industry." "To revolution," Liam raised his paper cup. "To revolution," they echoed. The champagne was cheap, the office was unfinished, and the future was uncertain. But standing there with people who'd chosen to build something meaningful over something safe, Tasha felt richer than any salary could make her. Monday morning, Reed and Associates officially opened for business. Tasha arrived at 7 a.m., made coffee in their newly installed break room, and sat at her desk, in her own office, in her own company. Her calendar showed 3 client meetings, 2 pitch presentations, and an interview with Fast Company about ethical leadership in creative industries. The Hartman campaign was launching in 2 weeks, a full brand repositioning that Liam called the best work he'd ever done. Meridian's user acquisition was up 60% in the first month of their refreshed strategy. The 5 clients Patricia Volkov had referred were thrilled with early results. Reed and Associates had 15 full-time employees now, a roster of trusted freelancers, and a waiting list of companies wanting to work with them. Tasha pulled up her business banking app. $732,000. Money that represented not just contracts, but choices, the choice to value people over profit margins, to build with integrity, to refuse compromise when it mattered. Her phone rang. An unknown number. She almost didn't answer. "Ms. Reed? This is Angela Martinez from the National Marketing Association. We're planning our annual conference, and we'd like you to deliver the keynote address. The theme is the future of ethical leadership in creative industries. We think you're the perfect person to speak to that." Tasha's heart raced. The NMA conference drew thousands of industry professionals. It was where reputations were made, where ideas shaped the field. "I'd be honored," she said. After the call, she sat quietly with the magnitude of it. 6 months ago, she'd been fired and humiliated. Now she was being asked to define the industry's future. Her laptop chimed. An email from Steve Cole at Adweek. "Tasha. Asterisk following up on the story. Thought you'd want to know, the State Labor Board completed their investigation of Cole and Associates. They found systematic wage violations and evidence of hostile work environment. Ethan Stone has been removed from all leadership positions. The company is being restructured under his father's oversight. Asterisk. Asterisk also, we're running a Where Are They Now piece on the people from the original article. Would you be willing to do a brief interview about Reed and Associates' success? Asterisk. Best? Liam. Tasha thought about Ethan sitting in that coffee shop, diminished and desperate. She felt no satisfaction in his downfall, just a quiet certainty that accountability had found him. She replied, asterisk, happy to talk. And Liam, thank you for listening when this story was just one woman's word against a powerful man's denial. Asterisk. That evening, Tasha returned to her apartment, the same studio she'd almost lost. She'd renewed her lease, paid for 6 months up front. The landlord had been shocked when she handed over the check. The space looked different now. Not bigger, but lighter somehow. She'd added plants, art, comfort. It wasn't forever, but it was enough. Her grandmother was making gumbo again, the apartment thick with familiar smells. How was the first day? Lorraine asked without turning from the stove. Perfect. Terrifying. Everything I hoped it would be. Tasha collapsed onto the futon. We have more work than we can handle, which is a good problem to have. And you're happy? Tasha considered the question. Happy felt too simple for the complex mix of emotions she carried. Pride, yes. Relief, absolutely. Exhaustion, constantly. But underneath it all, a bone-deep satisfaction that came from building something true. I'm happy, she confirmed. Lorraine brought 2 bowls to the table. They ate in comfortable silence, the kind that only existed between people who'd survived storms together. Your mama would be proud too, Lorraine said eventually. She always wanted you to be braver than she was. To take up space instead of shrinking from it. Tasha felt the familiar ache of her mother's absence, softer now but never gone. I wish she could see this. She can, baby. She can. After dinner, Tasha's brother video called from campus. He'd made Dean's List, landed an internship with a software company for the summer. He talked fast, excited, his future unfolding with the confidence of someone who'd been supported enough to believe in his own potential. None of this happens without you, he said when Tasha congratulated him. You kept me in school when scholarship fell through. You believed in me even when I didn't. I'm going to pay you back every cent. You'll pay it forward, Tasha interrupted. Help someone else when you can. That's all I want. After he hung up, Tasha stood on the fire escape, the same spot where she'd sat with $1,700 and no plan. Where she'd made the first impossible phone calls. Where she'd chosen to bet on herself when every rational voice said to play it safe. The city sprawled below her, full of other people making their own impossible choices. She sent them silent encouragement across the distance. Her phone buzzed. Amanda. Asterisk, just got an email from a woman at Cole & Associates. She saw the Adweek article and wants to know if we're hiring. 3 years of experience, says she's been documenting everything Ethan did wrong. Sound familiar? Asterisk. Tasha smiled. Asterisk, set up an interview. Let's see if she's ready for a revolution. Asterisk. 6 months after that. Tasha stood backstage at the National Marketing Association conference, waiting to deliver her keynote address. 3,000 people in the audience. Her hands should have been shaking. Instead, she felt calm, centered. She pulled out her phone, opened the notes she'd prepared. But instead of her speech, she found herself scrolling back through old messages. The text from her brother the day she got fired. Simone's late-night pep talk. Nina's first offer of help. She scrolled further back. Found the termination email from Cole & Associates HR. Read it one more time. Asterisk. Terminated for insubordination and conduct unbecoming. Final check will be available end of business day. Asterisk. Tasha deleted it. She didn't need to carry that anymore. A stage manager approached. Ms. Reed? You're on in 2 minutes. Tasha stood, smoothed her dress, not expensive, but hers. Earned with work she'd done, credit she'd received, dignity she'd refused to surrender. She walked to the wings of the stage. Heard the introduction, built one of the fastest-growing agencies in the country on principles of equity, transparency, and exceptional work. Please welcome Tasha Reed, founder of Reed and Associates. Applause thundered through the convention center. Tasha stepped into the light. 3,000 faces turned toward her. She saw young women in the front rows, notebooks ready. Saw people of color scattered through the crowd, expressions hungry for validation that they weren't alone. Saw the future of an industry waiting to be told that change was possible. She thought about the conference room where Ethan had fired her. How small he'd made her feel. How powerless. She thought about choosing to build something better instead of accepting what she'd been given. "Good afternoon," Tasha began, her voice steady and strong. "My name is Tasha Reed, and 6 months ago, I was fired for talking back." Knowing laughter rippled through the audience. "I'm here to tell you that talking back, speaking truth, demanding credit, refusing to stay silent, isn't insubordination. It's leadership. And it's time we built an industry that recognizes the difference." She spoke for 45 minutes. About stolen credit and workplace equity. About the hidden architects behind successful campaigns. About building companies based on character instead of compromise. When she finished, the standing ovation lasted 3 minutes. Afterward, dozens of people approached her. Young professionals sharing their stories. Established leaders promising to do better. Companies asking how to partner with Reed and Associates. One woman, maybe 25, black, eyes fierce with determination, waited until the crowd thinned. "Ms. Reed? I work for an agency that takes credit for my campaigns. I'm scared to leave. But listening to you, I realize I'm more scared of staying." She held out a business card. "When I start my own company, can I call you?" Tasha took the card, saw herself 6 months ago reflected in this woman's hope and fear. "Yes," she said. "And when you do, I'll tell you exactly what someone told me. You're going to be scared, you're going to doubt yourself, and you're going to want to quit 100 times. Do it anyway. The world needs what you're building." The woman's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you." Tasha watched her walk away, carrying possibility like a torch. This was the real victory, not her own success, but the path she'd cleared for others to follow. That night, Tasha returned to her new apartment, a 2-bedroom she'd moved into last month. Her grandmother had the second room now, closer to her doctors, surrounded by family. Lorraine was asleep on the couch, a blanket tucked around her. Tasha kissed her forehead gently, then stepped onto the balcony. She pulled out her phone and opened a blank email. To email protected. Subject, "Thank you. Ethan. Asterisk, I heard you're working with Nina, trying to rebuild your reputation and career. I hope you succeed, not because I've forgotten what you did, but because I believe people can become better than their worst moments. Asterisk. Asterisk, I also heard your father's rebuilding Cole and Associates with a focus on equity and transparency. I'm glad. The industry needs more companies willing to do the work. Asterisk. Asterisk, you asked me once what kind of leader I wanted to be. I've figured it out. The kind who builds doors instead of walls. The kind who makes space for people who've been pushed to the margins. The kind who measures success not just in profit, but in how many people I can lift as I rise. Asterisk. I hope you figure out your answer too. Best, Tasha. She hit send, then deleted his contact from her phone. Not out of anger, out of completion. That chapter was finished. She opened LinkedIn, started scrolling through messages from the conference. Requests for speaking engagements, partnership inquiries, messages from people whose stories echoed her own. One caught her attention. From a venture capital firm, asterisk Ms. Reed, we invest in companies led by women and people of color. Your agency's growth trajectory is remarkable. Would you be interested in discussing expansion capital? Asterisk. Expansion capital. Money to grow Reed and Associates from a successful boutique into a major player. The opportunity to scale her vision, to create even more space for talented people who'd been overlooked. Tasha stared at the message, feeling the familiar flutter of fear and excitement. Growth meant risk. Meant trusting investors, navigating new challenges, potentially losing the intimacy of what she'd built. It also meant impact. Meant hiring more people, taking on bigger clients, changing the industry from the inside. She thought about the woman at the conference, clutching that business card. About every other hidden architect waiting for their chance. "I'm interested," she typed. "Let's talk." The city lights sparkled below her balcony. Somewhere out there, someone was sitting on a fire escape with impossible dreams and not enough money, wondering if they were brave enough to try. Tasha sent out a silent message to them. Do it. Build something that scares you. Choose yourself even when the world says you're not enough. And when you succeed, reach back and help someone else climb. She went inside, checked on her grandmother one more time, then opened her laptop. Her calendar showed tomorrow's schedule: 3 client meetings, 2 interviews with job candidates, a strategy session with her partners, and a call with her accountant about year-end finances. Reed and Associates had brought in $1.2 million in their first 6 months. They'd hired 23 people, almost all women, people of color, folks who'd been overlooked by traditional agencies. They'd won 4 industry awards. They'd been featured in 8 publications. But the number Tasha was most proud of sat in a different spreadsheet. 7. 7 people who'd worked at Reed and Associates had left to start their own companies, using the model she'd built as their blueprint. That was the real revolution. Not one woman's success, but a movement of people refusing to stay silent, claiming their credit, building their own tables when they weren't given seats. Tasha closed her laptop and climbed into bed. For the first time in years, sleep came easily. No anxiety about tomorrow. No fear about being enough. Just quiet certainty that she was exactly where she was meant to be. Her phone buzzed one last time. A text from Amanda. New client inquiry just came in. Fortune 500 company. They specifically asked for us because of the Adweek article. Said they want an agency that values people as much as profit. How does it feel to change the world? Tasha smiled in the darkness and typed back. Like the beginning of something bigger than us. And it was. 1 year later, Tasha Reed stood in the same conference room where Ethan Stone had fired her. Cole and Associates, now restructured and renamed Collective and Company, had invited her to speak at their company-wide meeting about workplace culture and ethical leadership. Ethan wasn't there. He'd moved to a small nonprofit, working in marketing for organizations that helped formerly incarcerated people find employment. It wasn't glamorous, but Nina said he was actually doing the work this time. Learning what it meant to serve instead of taking credit. The room was full of people she didn't recognize, new hires brought in during the restructuring. But she saw Jennifer in the back row, visiting her old workplace. Saw the desk she used to occupy, now belonging to a young Asian woman who met her eyes with recognition and respect. "Thank you for having me," Tasha began. "A year ago, I was fired in a room much like this one. For talking back. For speaking truth. For refusing to make myself small so someone else could feel big." She paused, let them sit with that. "Today, I'm here not to shame what this company was, but to celebrate what it's becoming. Because transformation is possible. For individuals, for companies, for entire industries. But it only happens when we choose it. When we decide that who we are matters more than what we've always done." After her talk, she walked past her old desk. The nameplate read, Sarah Kim, Senior Strategist. Sarah caught her in the hallway. "Ms. Reed? I just wanted to say, I have your job because you refused to accept how you were treated. Because you spoke up. Thank you." Tasha hugged her. "Make it count. Do work you're proud of. And when you can, help someone else climb." "I will," Sarah promised. "I absolutely will." Outside, Tasha stood on the sidewalk where she'd held a cardboard box of her belongings and $1,700 in her bank account. Where she'd felt like her world was ending. Her phone buzzed. Liam. Client meeting went great. They signed. And Tasha? We're officially at 50 employees. We did it. Asterisk. Tasha looked up at the coal building, at the place that had tried to break her, and instead forged her into something stronger. Then she turned away and walked toward her own office, her own team, her own revolution. The best revenge, she learned, wasn't destruction. It was building something so undeniably excellent that the people who dismissed you had no choice but to recognize what they'd lost. What did this story teach you about the power of choosing integrity over convenience and the revolution that happens when we refuse to stay silent? Drop your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more stories that will change how you see the world.